everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Hooping Out Loud podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Noah, and we are here to talk to you, the fans, and get a perspective just from daily life basketball fans. And we're excited to start. So welcome. Thanks for joining, Noah. And let's get right into it. Let's talk about the mid-season tournament that possibly is going to happen starting next year.
Definitely. When Shams released that tweet saying that there was a tournament that could be implemented as soon as 2023, 2024, or excuse me, during the 2023, 2024 season, I was blown away. It's amazing as a fan, not only to see, obviously the NBA implementing something new, trying something different. Obviously, this is not something similar. We haven't seen this in any other league. This isn't happening in the NFL. This is happening in the MLB. This isn't happening in any other major sports that I could even think of. And I just think it's really cool that Adam Silver and the whole NBA executive team is kind of doing this. I think it's really cool for the players, really cool for the organizations, and fans get more opportunities to see stars.
100%. I have to agree with you. I think it's a great topic to look at. Just from the aspect of understanding that players are going to have an incentive during the regular season to really compete and have an incentive to want to play in the regular season. I know a lot of guys that sit out mid regular season just because they want to break from basketball. And I think that's really hard to look at because, you want your best players to play every single game. Looking back, I'm a huge Bulls fan, and I know, Noah, you're an Atlanta Hawks fan, but looking back at the old Bulls, Derrick Rose, unless he was hurt, never sat out of play. Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon, all the old Bulls that I think of would never sit out of play. And now just this day and age, players are just so much more athletic, so much more injury prone. And I just think it's so hard to really see players go through an 82 game season, which is tough within itself to look at because it's so long of a season and it's basically all year round. But it's great to know that players will have this incentive to look at and to want to compete every single day, not just in games, but in practice also.
I do want to bounce off one of your points. Just kind of when you were talking about how the NBA and like resting guys is different from, back when we were growing up, it's different when, you see Kirk Heinrich, Derrick Rose play basically, obviously pre-injury, 80-ish games. But I would say now, and I don't know if you agree with this. I don't know if even many people agree with this. It's just, 100% my take on this. But in my opinion, I think since the NBA has increased in talent overall, I think you see more coaching and more executives pushing to have players rested. Obviously, we see people getting rested for the last 10 games of the season, just 10-ish games during the end of the regular season just to avoid it pre-injury to the playoffs, obviously. And I think maybe it's a part of the new NBA culture, if you will, to rest guys. And I think more than ever, it might be more okay to rest guys because 100%. Of the increased talent.
100%. And to go off of that, like me and you were talking off recording, and the talent level is so good nowadays that the G League has so much talent. Every team has 2 or 3 stars in the NBA, and you're looking at such good talent that the NBA is just expanding and players are getting younger. And, we may see guys coming out of high school soon going to the NBA draft if they change the rule back, which I think would be a great idea. I think with how much talent there is out there right now, there's so many options. And I think that's why players are so leaning towards going to the G League and looking into the NBA draft because they want to just focus on basketball, and it's not, it's not going to school and focusing on academics. It's, I know I want to play basketball, I'm going to the G League so I can make the league.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely want to jump in here as well. Again, I think we may, I want to emphasize may see the NBA move the age requirement back down. And I only say that if and only if Braun wants it. Because let's be
100%.
real here, like LeBron runs the NBA. Big
100%.
market players run the NBA.
100%.
And it's kind of astonishing to even think about, but there could be a reality where there's pressure around the league for Adam Silver to move the age requirement down, so Bronny gets bumped in a year, and obviously we know what would happen from then. Bronny and Bron probably team up and dominate a league or a division or something, but that's something we can hope for, or maybe not hope for. But then again, I am a Hawks fan, right?
Yeah. To speak off of that though, like, if they do change that age requirement to go to the NBA, it's, as you said, LeBron runs this league, and if they do change it, then Bryce, his youngest son, will have a chance to play right out of high school. And I think that's LeBron's goal right now. And to see that happen makes us really realize that we see change, and we see different elements of the game changing and evolving. And it's just so important to understand what the difference between the age gap, and see LeBron. And LeBron wants to retire. We all know LeBron wants to retire at some point, but he wants to play with both of his kids. So this age gap is really going to affect the whole league.
Yeah.
And the sooner LeBron can get both of his sons into the league, the sooner he'll be happy and he'll be able to retire. So it's just looking at the expectations and understanding what the expectations really are.
Well, also, if Adam Silver does decide to move the age gap, you could also be seeing a lot more players coming into the league. Obviously, that first year it would happen when there would be a huge increase in talent pool. Obviously, we would probably also begin to see the G League turning into almost what we see in Europe with the smaller leagues in soccer almost. But, and that's what may happen eventually. Obviously, we're in 2022. We're not there yet, but obviously, like we talked about before, the increase in talent is changing the league more than we can even describe, and it's literally happening in front of our eyes.
100%, 100%. And to go off of that, I want to jump into another topic, because we're talking about LeBron, we're talking about all these topics, but I want to start talking a little bit about small market teams and how those teams are evolving. And as we talked about, like, rosters are evolving so quickly that these small market teams are getting chances to compete, because they're again, the age gap. They're trying to find such young talent that they can produce and get better, to the point where they don't have to pay that much for these guys.
I do want to jump in again. Keep saying that. But I just want to say this, and I know we're talking about small market teams, but real quick, I just want to point this out, and then I'll get on to what I was saying about small market teams. It's kind of crazy if you go look at the 2022 NBA market size rankings, and it's crazy because the biggest TV markets, obviously, you have, and it kind of coincides with the metro population, but the Knicks and the Nets have the biggest. Obviously, we saw that one coming, right?
Yeah.
Next is the Clippers and the Lakers, and then you have the Bulls, Sixers, Mavs, Raptors, Warriors, Hawks, Rockets, and Wizards. Those are the top 10. Think about who I just said. The Knicks, the Lakers,
Brooklyn.
the Raptors currently,
Yeah.
Rockets, and the Wizards. The Celtics and the Suns are 11th and 12th, respectively.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right? But when we go look at the smallest teams in the NBA, the 5 smallest, going from smallest to, I guess, bigger, if you will, Memphis, Pelicans, Thunder, Bucks, Spurs. Think about that. The small market teams are kind of winning.
Yeah.
Look what the Bucks are doing right now. They won a championship. The Thunder have all these picks. Sam Presti running laps around the league, just as Brad Stevens. But same thing with Pelicans, right? Pelicans have a really good roster right now. There's a lot of hype around the Pelicans. Same thing with the Grizzlies last year and maybe this year. Obviously, they lost some people, got Danny Green, but it's going to be a different Memphis team. It's going to be a different Pelicans team. It's going to be a bunch of different teams. But the smaller market teams, obviously, it's who we expected. Like the Kings are on this list, the Trailblazers, the Hornets, the Pacers, the Jazz. We expected these teams. But the smallest teams in the NBA are some of the best. It's a changing league. It's not what it used to be, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still think fans ride with their cities and ride with their teams.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I think, it's crazy to think about all these fan bases. Teams like Memphis, teams like Boston, they come out of nowhere, man. And these fan bases are some of the most loyal fan bases I've ever seen. Boston, to
Boston's
go
been
into
there. We've seen
Boston,
that.
to go into Boston and play is a scary thing, bro.
Oh,
And
God, you want to go in the Garden? You want to play Game 7 in the Garden? No, no, no.
These teams that are coming up, the Rockets in a few years. I mean, the Spurs are building something in San Antonio. Maybe
A lot
they
of hope
fire.
for Victor. A lot of hope for Victor there.
Maybe they fire Pop soon and find a coach that's a generational coach.
I don't think he'd fire Pop. I think he just either resigns or he just, leaves.
Yeah.
I just, obviously, no one will ever fire him. It's going to be a mutual decision. He may even go on to be an assistant coach to train the next head coach type of role, which would not
100%.
shock me. Which it would not shock me. But also, he probably just wants to be a regular fan now. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. But to me, he's a king. He's a goat. He walks out there and everyone knows who he is. No one's
I don't disagree with you, but I will say this: as years go on, you can see the generations as they go on. It's really catching up to him. This new generation of basketball is really catching up to him, especially.
Yeah.
And I especially saw it when I watched Team USA this past summer. In the Olympics.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, they had all the talent in the world, don't get me wrong, but they lost some games. The team shouldn't have even been in the game. And yeah, they didn't have some guys. They had some guys hurt. They had some guys just coming back from the NBA finals. Whatever. People can make all these excuses in the world. You can't make the excuses. You're Team USA. You have any talent you possibly want.
The best talent.
Exactly. Like there should not be an argument. Oh, this happened, that happened. You should not be losing games if you're on Team USA.
I agree fully.
But yeah, no, I honestly think, the generations are catching up to him, and that's not to say that's a bad thing, but I think it's coming down to him to be like, when is it time to call it quits? When is it time to give my successful career an end? And we saw that in college basketball this past year with Coach K and Roy Williams and
Mhm.
all these amazing coaches retiring. And it's just time. It's just time is hitting them. And now we see the change in the involvement of basketball, and teams like the Spurs are soon enough going to need a new coach
Mhm.
to be able to coach these guys through this talent, and see younger guys, and the recruiting process, the scouting process, it's all changing. um and we can see that in not just in the NBA but in college basketball too, with the IRL deals and the sponsorships.
The NIL deal.
um or not, yeah, whatever it is. But yeah, it's all, every single level of basketball is changing and evolving, and the talent is just so good nowadays.
Mhm. It
Um,
really all goes back to the talent increase. Like it, it's really something we haven't seen, and this is why I want to say baseball or soccer. This is why I relate it to it, is because it, and I guess it is easier to relate it to baseball in this way. So if you have all of your top guys playing at their respective positions on the top team, such as baseball does, right? With all the positions, they have their best guys at the best position or the top positions, right?
mhm,
Best pitchers start first, best relievers play, best closer plays, best first baseman, catcher, yada yada yada.
mhm,
With the increased talent in the NBA, this is what we were talking about before with the G League and how it's going to be used differently, probably soon, relatively soonish. Um, it's going to be a lot of increased talent, a lot more young players, young developing assets that are might leave if Adam Silver makes the age requirement go down. They might leave, not go to college, go out of high school, and a lot of players will do this. Obviously, everyone's situation is different, money reasons, career wise, a lot of people's situations are different. So it's really obviously subjective to each person. But what it will turn into is a baseball like farm system where you're going to have guys moving up and down into different leagues under the NBA, and which I think would be kind of cool to see because it would bring a lot more fans of basketball where you can have smaller cities having NBA branded teams. Obviously, not official NBA teams, but like G League teams, stuff like that. And
mhm,
I think it would be better for the NBA, and obviously it would be more revenue for the NBA, more exposure, and then you can even increase it to what they're trying to do with the international basketball and stuff like that. And you can go out of the country, you can go play the European teams, you can go play the all the other teams in the world. It's kind of cool.
mhm. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think just for the fans of basketball to be able to see, the G League expanding, and maybe possibly another G League sort of leagues maybe happening. For
Hmm.
example, overtime hoops. That league is evolving very quickly.
Yes.
Um, and that might turn into another G League. That
Hmm.
went from 2 teams last year to 3 teams, I think, this year. Um, so that's evolving quickly. And I think just for the game of basketball, for the fan bases, it's making fans so much more excited because they have so much more talent to look forward to see the future of their teams, see the future of their organizations, and understand the path that people,
Hmm.
um the talent level that's just going to expand and expand, um and get better every year. And it's crazy to think about because if you look at the statistics, it's like 1% of the world gets in the NBA, if that.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. If that.
so for the game to just keep it evolving and the talent to just keep it getting better
Hmm.
is crazy to see, because the fans should just be so excited. Me personally, I'm super excited. I can't wait for basketball to start in 9 days. Preseason starts in 9 days. I can't wait.
It's going to be amazing. Obviously, the first day of basketball season, NBA season, same thing with college basketball. It's a great day.
Yeah, and
Basketball, obviously, we love the sport. It's complete art. But I do want to talk about some points, though, that you made that were amazing.
yeah,
I want to see more NBA players in like pro-ams and summer leagues during the off season, like the crossover league and stuff like that. That is so cool for other people to go see NBA stars play, and not only play just like, obviously the quote unquote regular people, but like it's other kids, fans get to go see their favorite players play in these like random gyms. Like these are so cool. This is so cool. It's like I wish, like, obviously I think it's probably been done, or maybe it has been done, and it's just slipping my mind that I know it has been done. But like Kevin Durant or like the Knicks or the Nets should go play in Rucker Park, and like same thing with Chicago, and like there's different parks in the city that I'm sure that many of the Bulls probably would love to go play at and play with some fans. Like that would be so cool if NBA players did that. Obviously, I'm not there every day. I don't see it. So maybe it is happening. I just don't know. But
100%.
I would love to see it more, just because I think it's so cool. I think obviously NBA players have a huge impact on the society today. And how people think, what people do. NBA has grown tremendously since like when I was young and we were growing up. It is crazy to see,
100%.
and I love it. Like you said, as a basketball fan, and all basketball fans should be super excited for not only the talent level, but the future of the league and just their own teams. Like I'm a personal believer in everyone has a shot to win a championship.
Oh
There's
yeah,
not one team that I don't think will ever not win a championship.
100%. Maybe the Suns, but but no, I to go off your point, the one thing that really I I love summer basketball. I love the summer league. I love pro-ams. The one thing, as a humongous basketball fan as I am, that concerns me about all of that is the concern of players getting injured. With how
Mhm.
injury prone players are in the league, and they want to take off time and during the actual season, concerns me a lot about them playing in the summer.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh, it's definitely a real possibility and a real concern that obviously teams probably have. And that's a really good point that you made. But I don't obviously, honestly, but's probably not the right word to use. But I think on one hand, it's worth the risk just as a fan perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But as a player and a team perspective, obviously, it's not a good idea. We've seen this happen before. It's it's not pretty. It's not fun. It's not fun. Your team loses your star player this before the season. But at the end of the day, I think it's everyone says it, but I think it's bigger than basketball.
100%. And the reason I was giving a little laugh there is because I think I'm a little biased in this conversation, just because I'm a Bulls fan. My second to third best player is injured right now. And Lonzo Ball. Lonzo
Yep.
Ball is, Lonzo Ball is the keys to our car, bro. When he starts the ignition, our whole team goes. When he's not there, the car doesn't start sometimes. So
Mhm.
it's all about, it's all about the player development and keeping the players healthy.
Mhm.
Lonzo Ball, he's been out for almost a full year now, and
Wow.
it was supposed to be what, 4 months he was supposed to be
Or
out,
yeah. Yep.
and he's still not healthy. And
Yeah.
that just shows how injury prone players are nowadays. And it's an issue, but what are we going to do? We can't do much. Fans, as fans, we can support our players, the training staff and the coaches. They they you know they talk so much in media and conferences and say
Yeah.
our players are playing in the summer, this and that. And then you see some GMs and coaches in press conferences saying, we really don't want our players playing because of that exact injury prone reason.
Yeah.
And look, I see both sides of it as a fan, but looking at it as a specific Bulls fan, I I'm against Bulls players playing in the summer, and that's just because I don't want them to be injured for the season. Um, I would rather see my team win an NBA Finals than see DeMar DeRozan putting up whatever he put up in the Drew League, 45 points or whatever. Like that,
I mean,
watching
obviously, I
him play
mean,
with LeBron, I would rather see him put a ring on his finger in Chicago than see him playing with LeBron in the Drew League. Honestly.
no, I mean, I think you have a solid point there, and I think a lot of people think the same way. Like, I don't disagree with you, but on one hand, I want players to play and give more exposure to fans, but I get it. I get obviously the risk because they could be losing out in millions of dollars, and obviously that's nothing to play around with. These players earned it. This is not slacking. They put really hard work into that. That is not quick money. That is not fast money. They worked their ass off for it. Sorry for the word, but they worked their butt off for it. And yeah, like I think they deserve it. But
100%.
but then again, like going back to what we said, just back to the talent that the NBA has. If a guy gets injured, someone will step up.
100%.
And I just think that's where the future of the league is going. And not enough people are talking about it. I don't hear many reporters talking about, oh, this is where the league is going and this is where the league is going to be in 10 years. They're talking about who's going to the NBA finals next year. And it's like, it's really interesting. Obviously, like, we're not casual NBA fans. We're way more advanced fans. We look at the business side, contract stuff, all the trade stuff. It's really just the NBA going forward is not only going to be a much different league, but you're going to be seeing a much different culture.
Hmm.
And which I think is the biggest thing. And I obviously the NBA has had its culture, and obviously the culture comes with issues, and I'm not saying it's not only there, it's only the NBA, but because it's not, because every league has their own issues. But when it comes to the talent and how basketball has evolved and how it's becoming more international, it just goes back to what we were talking about. Not enough people are talking about the future of the league and how it's changing. We're talking
100%.
about tomorrow when we're not talking about in 5 years.
100%. And I just want to slip in and add something. Talking about 5 years, I'm thinking about not just players' contracts, which that can be a conversation for another day because I have a lot to say about that. But you know, I I think players, as you said, players work their butts off.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the NBA, 5 years ago, we thought the NBA is slowing down a little bit. The fans are moving away from it. Now it's rising back up a little bit. We see two-way contracts just because of the injury-prone situation, because of COVID,
Hmm.
all of this, and um, two-way contracts now in the NBA are one of the most important aspects
Yep.
of the NBA, just because, one of your stars goes down, you need a guy to step in. You
Have
need a
to.
guy on the bench to step in.
Have to.
As we talk about, no one really looks into the future. As me and you talked about earlier in this episode, we said we're talking about 5 years in advance, the farm systems.
Hmm.
We're thinking about that
5 to
future,
10. It could be 20. Like who knows how long this is going to take, but it will
whatever
be
it
there.
is. Whatever it is, we're thinking so much ahead that I don't know. I don't think 5 to 10 years ago we would have been talking about two-way contracts being a thing in the NBA.
No, but I also think it comes with, obviously, like we keep saying, the increased talent. But it also comes with the draft. Look at the draft. It used to be, top 5, top 8 guys. That's where your stars were. Those are the league, right?
Oh,
Now, since the league has expanded, obviously with social media and a bunch of different factors, but we now see maybe the top 15 is really good, or maybe the top 30 is really good. You know what I mean?
yeah. I
It
and
comes with the increased talent.
to add on to the increased talent, shout out to Chicago and my boy, but um, looking at the Lakers, Max Christie, he is by far an NBA talent. I think he's going to be playing in the G League this year just to get development skills. Like, I think it's going to be key for him to really develop this year, because when 2 or 3 years, 4 years, whenever it is that LeBron decides to leave, he's their future. He's going to have to step up. And they
Mm.
took a chance on him. They took a really big chance on him, picking him when they did. And that's just the improvement of the league right now.
Yeah.
Let's go into a new topic. Let's go on to a new topic and talk about expansion teams for a little bit. Adding on to what we've been talking about, let's talk about expansion teams for a few minutes.
What cities do you think they'd be in?
I think, Vegas. I think they really want to move a team to Vegas. I think they have to move a team back to Seattle. I think Seattle deserves it.
Okay, do you think they're really going to add a team to Vegas?
No.
Seeing what James Harden did in Houston and all the whole Houston Rockets situation kind of went down.
No, I don't. But I don't know. I think to be truly honest with you, if there was a team to go to Vegas, I think it would be really cool if they decided to play at the UNLV stadium and play where summer leagues play. I think that'd be really cool. Just for fans to have a tourist place.
Yeah.
Fans go there during the summer. That's a tourist place during the summer. And to have that as an NBA stadium would make especially Vegas would get so many people during the season, just because that gym is so iconic.
Obviously, I think when we're talking about expansion teams, we're talking about the West, and it's obviously that's just comes with the major cities in our country. Most of them are there in the East Coast or the eastern side of the country, but obviously, I do agree with you. I think Seattle does deserve another chance. I don't. I think they got screwed with the Sonics, so I do believe they should get another one. Obviously, this we're talking about the league going back to 32 teams, right? So if you include Seattle, I also think maybe another team in maybe Salt Lake City. I'm just
Maybe.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with you. I'm just kidding. There's the Jazz, but there's also other places that I think could like maybe add another Canadian team. Go with Vancouver. You could go
Dude,
San
I would
Diego,
love to see I
or
would
you could
love
go
to see
Vegas.
Canada get more teams.
Like, there's a lot of opportunity, and I think there's obviously there's two teams that would have to move from the West, in which I would
Mhm.
then argue Memphis and New Orleans would move over to the
Mhm.
East. Obviously,
Yep.
bringing the league to 32 teams, just as the NFL has.
The real question. So here's my thought on this, and I think it's a pretty good debate. So, we think about injury prone, we think about the strength of all these guys, the length of the season. I don't know if there are expansion teams. Do you think the league thinks about expanding the season, making it longer? Do we think, even if there are expansion teams, they shorten the season? Um,
Hmm.
it's a thing to think about. Like, everybody talks about the season should be shorter. These guys are getting way too hurt. But if you add teams to the league, you're
Hmm.
gonna have to extend the season because there are
I
more
see what you're
games to
saying.
be played.
I definitely agree with that. I think you do have to increase the amount of games there are in a season. Number one, if you had two teams, right, that's potentially two other or what, one more game you get to play.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more TV space now, or I don't know if it's a lot more, but obviously one more team or one more game includes more TV airing. You're going to need more space. What if it's a primetime game? So they're going to have to do a lot of moving. Obviously, we're going to see the season extended over a longer period of time, the regular season, and then the NBA finals would be longer. But the consequences of that is the off season becomes shorter. So now you
Mm.
have to go right back. So if you make the finals like the Warriors and the Celtics, you have to go from, oh, hey, I just made the finals to now, oh, well, now you got to start your regular season again and go play the NBA championship again. Oh, sorry. But this is again, this isn't something we haven't seen
Yep.
because we have seen it. Think about the bubble when they stopped the season and then they started again in the bubble and only some teams are invited to the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
As a Hawks fan during that time, my team season got ended and we didn't go to the bubble.
Same.
So I was sitting there watching other teams play while my team couldn't play.
Exactly.
So again, it's not like we haven't seen this. Guys have had to wait longer, not only wait longer, if you don't make the playoffs, obviously that's a consequence of not making the playoffs. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. Tyler, where was I?
You were talking about the bubble.
Oh, oh, thank you so much. So sorry. It's not like we haven't seen this before, right?
Yeah.
When the bubble ended, I do not remember exactly where and when, or not where, but I don't remember exactly when the bubble ended, but I'm pretty sure they had to delay the start of the next season. And I'm almost positive that happened because obviously the players and the NBA PA complained about not having enough time to rest and recover from the season. The Lakers won the championship that season, obviously. So obviously, LeBron gets what he wants, like we talked about, and he gets more rest. So it really, again, and since they they delay the start to the season, these players who haven't played in however long it was are going to be over rested almost. I don't want to say over rested, but these guys have been dying to play basketball for however long it was, and again, It's not like we haven't seen this.
Yes.
And yeah, sorry, I'll stop talking.
No, you're good. Okay, let's touch base another topic now. That's in my head. So we just had some breaking news come out. With the Celtics coach, in some trouble.
Oh.
And I wanna we have 9 days till the season starts. Let's get into some preseason projections.
Okay. I definitely, obviously, I want to start with the Celtics with this news obviously coming out, right?
Yes.
I think the Celtics, obviously, if Udoka is gone, let's say he's gone for, I don't know. It says facing possible disciplinary action, including a significant suspension. So I'm at least saying that's got to be at least 30 games.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking
Might be
maybe
45, like 50. If it is, okay. I'll give you both my takes. If it's a 30-ish around that game suspension, we are going to be seeing. Obviously, the Celtics won't be their top team they were, but don't be shocked if the next guy up isn't prepared. But I think if it's 30 games ish, they'll be fine. They'll still make the playoffs, whatever. They still have easily or arguably one of the best rosters in the NBA.
100%.
Also, on the other hand, if he is suspended, let's say for the season, I think the Celtics are a good enough team and have a good enough roster to make the playoffs. I don't know how they're going to be in situations in the playoffs with, or even in the regular season with a new coach who isn't a head coach. Obviously, Brad Stevens is their GM, who was the former head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So if need be, he could step in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on the Celtics. But I want to get to the preseason projections. I think, obviously, if we're talking about, winning the NBA championship, I think the Bucks are on everyone's radar always. I think the Nets should be. Obviously, that's contingent if they stay together.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that we should also be talking about other teams such as probably the Clippers.
Yeah.
I think the Clippers have a really nasty team. And I think their roster is absolutely disgusting. And I'm sorry, like you could talk about, the Suns, the Celtics roster, it's whatever. I know I just said the Celtics roster is the best in the league, or arguably best in the league, but I think it is the Celtics and the Clippers have the two best rosters in the NBA. And and you also have Golden State too, which we haven't even talked about. Obviously, Golden State, obviously the league runs through Golden State. I haven't even mentioned them yet. And like it's crazy. Like I said, the talent's good. And obviously, I don't think enough people are talking about the Sacramento Kings. Their roster's better. Like obviously, the Jazz took a major hit trading all of their assets away, but they got a lot of key guys or a lot of young assets back. They got a lot of guys they still need to move. They still have bad contracts. They'll fill their team out. I'm not worried. They have the guys.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to hear your opinion though, Tyler, on the Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves. Ooh, I'm a big fan of teams that are really good defensively. Unfortunately, the Bulls aren't the best defensive team in the league. And I have a lot to say about that. But I think the Timberwolves, I think the Celtics are by far the best defensive team in the league. Now, I think the Timberwolves are up there. Now having Rudy, having Karl Anthony Towns, top shot blockers in the league, playing aside each other, seeing Karl Anthony Towns play the 4 this year will be very interesting. Seeing what he could do at the 4. Anthony Edwards, great defender. They just have, I mean, and they're super young too. They have
Mhm.
a lot,
They got some dudes.
a lot of talent, and they have a lot of dogs that want to win.
Yeah.
And if they want to win, their time is about now to start making runs in the playoffs. I know they barely made the playoffs last year, but their time is now. And the clock is ticking, especially because they're making their roster so that they can win now instead of looking at the future. So there's so many good teams in this league. But I don't know, man. Clippers are good. I just think they're too injury prone. I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
I agree. I
I
agree,
also,
and it's valid. That's a very
I
valid
I
point.
also I also I'm not a big fan of Ty Lue. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree. No,
I don't know.
I agree. You're
I
speaking
think
facts.
I
There's
think
reason not to.
I think there are two definite outstanding teams in the NBA, and I think those are the Celtics and the Warriors. The Celtics and the Warriors are the two best teams flat out in the NBA.
Yeah.
But to give you
Emphasize
my
team. Emphasize team there.
yeah, to give you my thoughts on what the standings are going to look like at the end of this year. I think the Celtics are one in the East. This is my East projections. The Celtics are one, Bucks are two, Sixers are three, Brooklyn's four, Miami's five, Toronto's six, Bulls are seven, Cleveland's eight, Charlotte's nine, Atlanta's 10, New York's 11, Pacers are 12, Detroit's 13, Washington's 14, and Orlando's 15. In the West, I got Golden State 1, Memphis 2, Denver 3, Clippers 4, Minnesota 5. If this is a big if Zion's healthy, New Orleans 6, Lakers 7, Dallas 8,
Okay.
Utah 9,
Really?
Sacramento 10.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Sacramento is going to be better than people think.
I agree. I think Sacramento's going to be good or decent. Not good, but decent.
Port was I at 10 or 11? I think I was at
You're at 10.
10.
Mm-hmm.
Portland 11, San Antonio 12, Houston 13, and OKC 14. Am I missing a team?
I don't know.
I'm
I think
missing
it's
it.
really interesting.
Oh,
I gotta
Phoenix.
ask.
Okay, I didn't put Phoenix in there. So, all right, here's what I got. Golden State 1, Memphis 2, Denver 3, Minnesota 4, Clippers 5, Suns 6, Dallas 7, Minnesota 8, Utah 9, Lakers 10, Sacramento 11, Portland 12, Sacramento 13, Houston 14, OKC 15. That's my West.
Okay. First, I just want to jump in real quick. When you had Minnesota, when you're talking about Minnesota, I myself love defensive teams, but Part of me doesn't like Minnesota and the whole, the quote unquote Twin Towers thing.
Hmm.
I am not a fan of paying your center a lot of money in this day and age in the NBA when you can have shooters all around and do what the Warriors do. But and that's backed up. I don't know where I saw the stat or whatever. I think I saw it on Twitter or something. But I think it was like the last. I don't even know, over the last decade or something. There's been no NBA champion that has a center that's being paid over like $12 million or $15 million or something,
Yeah.
which is crazy to think about. And it just like reminds me of like the Sixers every year. They always lose, and they pay Joel Embiid a crazy amount of money.
Hey man, Robert Williams, one of my favorite centers in the NBA.
Same thing with Jokic, but obviously Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. have been hurt, so like that's a little different. But
Yeah, and they're coming
they
back.
pay him. We're paying him a lot of money.
They're coming back this year. I'm telling you, they're gonna be better than people think. Jamal Murray is out for people this year.
It's because he hasn't played.
He hasn't played in 2 years.
He's going to come back really good.
Yeah. He's been working his butt off this whole season or this whole summer.
He probably could have come back end of last year. He probably just didn't want to.
Yeah. Let's hear your East and West, and then we'll close this one out for this episode.
Okay. Let's think about this real quick. So I'm gonna go team by team and give you maybe like a 1 to 2 minutes, 2 sentence evaluation, kind of the answer to the why. So first, in the East, I personally think that the Boston Celtics will be the #1 team in the East.
Yes.
Obviously, actually, you know what? That is 100% contingent on Udoka not getting suspended that many games.
That's fair.
But since it's significant, I'm going to assume that he is now. So let's take this after this news just came out. So now my top team, the Bucks.
Yes.
Bucks have an incredible roster. They always do. Mike Budenholzer, whatever, former Hawks coach. I know all about him. He's a good coach. As much as I want to hate him, he's a good coach. He can coach guys like Giannis. It's fine. But they still have Giannis. He's the reason that they're the #1 team. He's that good. He is him. That's why he's #1. And that's why the Bucks are #1.
Yep.
Number 2. Obviously, like I said, this is after Udoka, so I do not have the Celtics in my number 2. My number 2 team is actually going to be Brooklyn Nets. And I'll tell you why. Kyrie, Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, and now they have younger players. Nick Claxton's coming back. He's younger. He's getting better every year. I'm really a fan of Nick Claxton's game. They got other players. They got Royce O'Neal. They still have. Why am I blanking on his name? Shooter. Joe Harris.
Joe Harris. Yeah.
It's off the top of my head. I don't remember if they have Patty Mills or not. But if he's still there, that's good. If he's not, obviously it's not. But I still have this team, my number 2, just because of that. They have shooters surrounded by Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, who's a defensive beast, and Kyrie Irving, right?
Yeah.
Number 3, that's where I'm putting the Celtics. That number 3 spot. Obviously, with the Udoka news coming out, that's a pretty big hit. But
yeah,
I still think they have a crazy roster. Obviously, Gallo towards or MCL, ACL, whatever. It's fine. Gallo was in the Hawks last season. It's not really a huge blow for them because he's coming off the bench as probably one of the worst defensive players on the team. Which obviously I hate when guys get injured, and I wish no guy get injured. But I don't want to sound like I am okay with it. But it just has to be mentioned when talking about this type of thing because he did get injured. But the facts are facts,
100%.
But so that's why I have him at number 3. Number 4. the number 4 is always hard for me because it's like they're not top 3, but like they're that yeah, they're like the next one, right? And
Mhm,
everyone likes to put the Sixers here. Everyone. Everyone's talking about the Sixers, right?
mhm.
But actually, I I don't really know if the Sixers are going to be that good. But on the other hand, of the other hand, back to where I was, I want to put the Sixers at 4 for just because in the regular season they're going to have that good record. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Obviously they have Embiid, they have Harden, Maxey, Toby. They have guys. They
Yeah.
have Doc Rivers. They have a city behind them. They're always a tough team, always a good defensive team. Obviously, hate Ben Simmons, whatever. They're a good team. They're probably going to be number 4 for that reason. Obviously, Doc may get fired after the season if he has a bad season, but that's besides the point. Number 5, I'm going to go with your Bulls here,
Wow.
but actually, okay. I want to give 2 options. I'm putting the Bulls here if Lonzo Ball can come back earlier than expected.
Yeah.
If he comes back
He's not
earlier
going
than
to.
expected, okay. If he's not going to, then I'm not gonna put you there. I'm gonna at your
I
number 5
I
spot.
would I would expect Lonzo Ball to be out for this whole season. I'm not.
Okay, so I should go into that mentality, kind of.
Yes.
Okay, for number 5, I'm going to be putting the Miami Heat. I'll tell you why. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo, and Tyler
Tyler
Hero.
Hero.
I said Jimmy
Tyler
Butler
Hero.
twice because I was
Big.
about to go on Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler, but I didn't. But they have a nice roster. Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. Um, obviously, Pat Riley puts him in a position to win every single year, it seems. And that obviously that comes with Eric Spoelstra being one of the best head coaches in the NBA right now. That's obviously not being talked about enough. But again, they have guys. They're developing these guys who haven't even made careers yet, and they're making them great players. Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, 2 guys. And hopefully Duncan Robinson can emerge for something. But right now, he's not doing shit. Or sorry, excuse me. He isn't doing anything. So I am going to put them at number 5. Number 6, and you're not going to like this, but this is where I put the Hawks. This is my own team, a little biased. Obviously, with the addition of DeJounte Murray, they're going to be very good along with Trae Young. Getting DeJounte Murray is going to pull double teams off of Trae because you can't double team 2 guys. Then you have 2 guys open. It's bad idea. So it's going to be great to see Trae and DeJounte on the court at the same time. Obviously, with John Collins, DeJounte Murray, Clint Capella, and you have guys coming off the bench who can support that with Nate McMillan at the helm. But I think the team has gotten better. They improved on the position they needed to. Got rid of Kevin Hervey, got some first round pick back, some young, not young assets, but they got other assets, and they really improved on their shooting guard, getting DeJounte Murray. So that's why I think they're going to be right in there with that. About 6 spot right behind the Heat. My number 7, this is where I'm going to put your Bulls, and you can rebuttal this, talk about it immediately after I'm done because I really want you to, because I want to hear your opinion on my list. But I'm going to put your Bulls here. Just I would put them higher if Lonzo Ball was healthy, and I want you to know that, and I want everyone to know that because if Lonzo Ball is healthy, this team is different. And what I mean by that is this team is defensively different. And he not only helps the defensive end, but he's a great passer. He's a great floor manager. He can do things that other players can't. He's really improved his game, obviously moving to 3 different cities. This is his 3rd city now, but he improves the game. And I don't only want to talk about him because you have Dijon. Oh my God, I said DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, obviously Vucevic is there. Caruso, you have literally, obviously, what am I saying? Levine, exactly. You have Zach Levine. Like your team is good. You have a great roster. You have a good bench. You have Billy Donovan running your great system there, or maybe not great. Maybe you don't think it's great, but he's got a thing going there. So that's where I got him at that number 7 spot. my 8. I'm probably tempted to go with Cleveland Cavaliers here. Do I think that the addition of Donovan Mitchell was great? No. They gave up Lowry Markkinen. They gave up Ochai, was his first round pick. They also gave up Colin Sexton for Donovan Mitchell, who is one of the he's not one of the better defenders or of his position. He's a little undersized for his position. He scores a lot, but then you have to think about the other side of the ball or not the other side of the ball, but the other side of the court. You have Darius Garland, who's about the same height as him. So now you have a smaller point guard shooting guard combo, and now your team height gets smaller. So now your defense is lacking, and people can shoot over them. So it's going to be harder for match up with people. That's why I think the Cavs take a small hit here. Obviously, they have Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, of guys. They have guys. That's not a question. I just don't think defensively they can keep up with the teams that they have in the East. Obviously, I'm gonna, since it's outside of the top 8, I'm gonna go a little quicker. I would have the Raptors, obviously Fred VanVleet, OG, Pascal, Nick Nurse, great coach up there. They have the whole they have the whole country of Canada, so they're obviously a good team. I'd probably put the Pacers behind them, and then probably the Hornets, Knicks, Wizards, Magic, Pistons.
Wow.
Or Magic are probably the worst. I'd probably move the Pacers up a little bit, but that's just, outside of the top 10, like it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
I want to hear. What do you think of the East?
Talking about the Bulls, I'm just, as a Bulls fan, I'm shocked that you're giving us credit, especially at 5 with Lonzo Ball even being healthy. I
think he'll come back.
As big of a Bulls fan as I am, defensively, we're not good enough of a team to compete in the East, unfortunately. Our leaders just are, when defensive teams are good teams, their best players are their best defenders. You look at the Celtics, you got Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year, Jason Tatum, great defender. And if you watched the whole Brooklyn Celtics series last year, Jason Tatum killed Kevin Durant. Jaylen Brown, you just got guys, Robert Williams, they just got guys, and Robert Williams' whole game is based off of his leaders, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and he runs off of them. With the Bulls, with Lonzo out, as I said, he's the key that runs the car. If he's not there, the car doesn't. The car might start, but it's not running. It's not running normally. So, I like most of those picks. I just think we're getting a lot of credit, and I don't know. We'll see. I'm ready for basketball to start in 9 days. Let's get it started.
Me too. Me too.
But yeah, let's go through your West real quick, and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay. See if I can make this quicker, right? Okay. I'm not going to really give much reasoning. I'm just going to kind of go just to make it quick. But number 1, Golden State. Number 1.
Yeah,
they're
there's no
the
question.
best team. Number 1, Golden State. Number 2, I have, and again, remind you, this is the regular season, the Phoenix Suns. Number 2.
Yeah.
Number 3, right behind them, will be the Grizzlies. It's going to go Golden State, Suns, Grizzlies, and then it's going to go Pelicans.
Wow. Okay.
Minnesota, Clippers. What is that, 6?
Mm-hmm.
7 is going to be Dallas. 8 will be the Nuggets. 9 will be the Lakers. 10 will be the Kings. And then Spurs, Rockets, Jazz. Well, I'll just be, and the Trailblazers will all just be, and the Thunder will all just be like, not much.
Well, yeah,
What do you
that's
think?
I like those picks. I like those picks. I think it's, I think the West is way more organized than the East, and the
Oh yeah.
East is going to be way more competitive. But we'll see how it
Well,
how
I
it
just want to
runs.
add this. I picked the reason I didn't put like Warriors, Suns, and then the Clippers or any of that or type of order with 3 teams in the Pacific was because those teams play each other the most.
Yeah,
So you have to think about it. Like the Pelicans and the Grizzlies are playing the Rockets, Spurs, Mavericks, and
that's
then
true.
like the Timberwolves and the Nuggets are playing the Thunder, Blazers, and the Jazz.
That's very true. Yeah,
Like you gotta think about who they're playing, right?
yeah. In another episode, we can look back at our preseason predictions and see if going into the regular season teams are healthy, and we'll give reasoning to it. And I think we can adjust based on news going into the regular season, and if players get hurt, we can adjust and base it off of what's going to actually start in the regular season. Now we're just about to get into the preseason, so players could get hurt and all of that. And I think that's why, personally, I didn't give my reasoning to anything. I think this is just based off of knowledge going into what's being started this year. And I think getting closer to the actual regular season, we can put our thoughts together and let the viewers actually understand why we pick these teams, and if we are gonna adjust anything based on how the regular season is gonna start. So thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. See you next time.